All right. Lantern's coming out this weekend. Who wants to hear about Hal's origin? Its secret origin by Geoff Johns. Today on the Abin Sur Cafe. Alright, so this is Green Lantern Secret Origin as we dive into Geoff Johns Omnibus Volume 2. So I just gotta say right off the bat, one of the things I really do like about this story is specifically its place in the run. Like, I like that it's kind of like a nice, like, the way this run is like paced very well is that after the craziness of like the Sinestro Corps War, it was kind of cool to get more of like a low down, like lower stakes story like this, even though this has big stakes as well and sets up future things as we'll see. But it was pretty cool to like kind of like, after like the epicness of Sinestro Corps War, let's go back to the origin. Let's flash back a bit. So we do start out here where we get to see Hal charging his lantern, but of course we're going to flash back and see exactly how he got that lantern, how he got that ring. And one thing that's cool about this too is Hal is narrating throughout this story, and as you can see with the word bubbles here, they're written as if he is writing it, and we'll find out what the source of that is later. So of course we start off here where we get to see his dad flying in the Air Force. As we'll also see, unfortunately, the tragedy of his father's death. It's not the first time we see it in this run. We see it a few times in the run. Like it's actually funny. I think, like, reading this run and seeing that so many times, I feel like I basically have memorized this dialogue between Carl Ferris and Martin Jordan. Like, literally, that's $15 million, and our last 6 years of development you have in the air. Keep it flying, Jordan. I basically have that dialogue memorized because of how many times you see that scene. But anyway, of course, we do flash forward a bit where Hal is still going to different Air Forces. Like, he wants to be just like his dad. His mom, of course, wants nothing to do with it because of what happened to his dad. But Hal, of course, is ignoring that, and we do get to see on his 18th birthday, he decides to join the Air Force. Hal is, of course, very reckless, loose cannon. And we do get this actually one cool scene where him and his buddy are like at a bar having some drinks after a nice test flight. And at one point, there seems to be a big fight that breaks out between the Air Force guys and the military guys, and specifically the two guys who actually start the fight are Hal Jordan and John Stewart, who these two have no idea who they are yet, which is pretty cool. I like that John's in that John in that sequence. We do find out, though, later on, though, that Hal's mother has cancer and is dying. But unfortunately, Hal hasn't talked to his mother in years because once he joined the Air Force, his mother did not want to talk to him at all and would only talk to him unless he quit. Hal, of course, refuses to quit the Air Force, so what he does is probably the next worst thing he can do. He gets himself discharged by punching his boss in the face. But unfortunately, it is too late. His mother does pass. But while that other family drama is going on, we see a particular alien, an alien named Abin Sur, who is about to get ready to fly down to Earth. With his captive, Atrocitus. Atrocitus will be a very big character in this run. And again, I like that this story, like, even though we're flashbacking, we're also setting up future events. Specifically what Abin wants with Atrocitus, we're going to find out later. How one point gets to meet Carol Ferris. And at one point, while Hal is sulking and thinking about his dad and thinking about getting back to the air, he's been discharged, so he can't really go anywhere else but Ferris Air. Even though Ferris Air is the one place he does not want to go because he despises Carl Ferris. He blames him for his father's death. But while all that is going on, Atrocitus and Abin Sur get into a huge fight. The ship ends up crashing into Earth. Atrocitus escapes. Abin Sur is badly wounded, and he knows he's basically about to die. He sets off his ring to find his replacement, which of course is Hal. And we get this beautiful shot of the original origin. Do you accept this duty? If I'm not dreaming, absolutely. An Earthman, I never thought I lived to see the day. And his final words being Sinestro. Which will play into that in a sec. Hal Jordan, you have the ability to overcome great fear. Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps. So Hal gets his ring. He gets to try out his first flight. Getting to experience flying without having to use a jet, which for someone like Hal, who's obsessed with flying in the skies, like, this is like an absolute dream for him. Also, I gotta say, one detail I like here too is that if you see here, he actually doesn't have the Green Lantern emblem yet. He doesn't have it because he's still a rookie. I like that touch of the detail that you have to be trained and earn that part of the uniform. And while Hal is flying, he ends up saving a craft from going down and making his debut in Coast City, becoming Coast City's superhero. Actually, that's funny because that's what they used to call Coast City. They used to call it Ghost City. Hal eventually does find the lantern, and specifically the ring, take him to Oa, where we're introduced to all the other core members, including my boy, Kilowog. Nice landing, Pooza. Hal and him get off to a great start. And later on, we do actually see that Hector Hammond and a bunch of other guys have actually found Abin Sur's ship. So, of course, they want to take it and mess with it because that's what the government does. We also get to see here, too, we get to see Hal learning about the effects of the ring and specifically its weakness to yellow. And he gets to meet Tomar Ree here. Tomar kind of takes Hal in because he finds out that he does have Abin Sur's ring. Abin Sur was very well respected among the Corps. He was very popular. You get to see here him doing the oath for the first time. And like after his training, like as you see now, he earns the emblem. We also do find out that Gambit has been in contact with Sinestro. Specifically, he wants Sinestro to talk to Hal and find out what exactly Abin Sur was doing before his death. So yes, we get to see Sinestro still as the Green Lantern. And at one point too, while Hector Hammond and all of them are experimenting with Abin Sur's ship, he opens the back of it without any protection. Gets exposed to something, and of course that's the origin of his telepathy, and of course later on his big head. Hal in this story is also dealing with a lot too. Like the biggest thing that this story is doing is that he is still constantly holding on to the anger of Carl Ferris and having to trying to deal with that and trying to let it go. But as that also is going on, we do get to see the first meeting between Sinestro and Hal. And one of the things I love about this book as well is we actually get to see the relationship start to develop between Hal and Sinestro before they become enemies. Because despite Sinestro's like ego, Sinestro really is not like a bad guy. I mean, he is a bad guy, but he's not either. Like, he's not like the worst. And also, like, the thing that's kind of interesting is that him and Hal do have a lot in common. Especially when it comes to questioning authority. Another thing of setup we also get here, too, is we also get to see William Hand. We get to see kind of the origin of William Hand, who will also play a big part later on in Blackest Night. So again, like I said, it's pretty cool that we get the origin while also setting up the next big event. So what is going on is that Atrocitus wants to kill William Hand. Because Atrocitus wants to find the power of the Black to be able to get home. And according to this device that he has, he believes William Hand is the source of that power. Because the source of the Black does come from Earth. And specifically is in tune with William. So we also do get to see here, Abin Sur's message to Sinestro. And basically what Abin Sur tells Sinestro and what he was doing originally was, of course, he was trying to figure out this whole prophecy of the Blackest Night. But specifically what he wanted to do, too, is he wanted to get Atrocitus, because Atrocitus was a member of a renegade group of these last living aliens of different planets that were all destroyed by the original Guardians soldiers, the Manhunters. The Manhunters, who basically they were what the Guardians used before we had the Green Lanterns. The Manhunters were these robots. The Guardians tried using robots before trying using humans and creatures. Of course, the robots glitched out because they believed. They basically, as Abin said, they came to the conclusion that there could only be order in our universe if life were eradicated. They annihilated world after world, trillions of intelligent beings. There were 5 survivors, 5 within an entire sector once full of life. Those 5 became known as the 5 inversions, and one of those inversions is Atrocitus. And also he explains here, along with Quill, they sought the inner power of the universe with their rituals and sacrifices that peered into the deepest depths of the future, and they saw darkness. A Black so devoid of life, even the Guardian's light could not penetrate it. They seek to take this darkness for themselves and turn against us. So basically what they want is they want to use that Black Lantern power to destroy the Guardians, to get revenge on the Guardians for destroying their whole planets. So Atrocitus wants to find William to get that power. So now Hal and Sinestro have to go after Atrocitus to save William. That's basically what else is going on here. And I love this moment too at one point where the device that Atrocitus has, which will later on become Blackhand's weapon, is a device that can drain the rings. So at one point, Sinestro and Hal have to fight Atrocitus without ring power. And I like this where Sinestro says, "Let's see what you're made of without that ring." And I love, too, I just love the building relationship with Sinestro and Hal, and I love that Sinestro gives Hal shit for, not having his, lantern on him. And we get this awesome fight with Sinestro, Hal, and Atrocitus. And we also specifically get this big moment where at one point, because Atrocitus does know that the rings can't work on Yellow, so he tries using a crane machine to kill Sinestro, Hal is actually able to destroy it. Of course, Sinestro was passed out, so he didn't fully get to see it. And, like, Atrocity says, Yellow? That was not possible. So at one point, yeah, Hal keeps explaining to Sinestro that he actually did use the ring against Yellow, but, like, Sinestro doesn't believe it, because as we learned back in Green Lantern Rebirth, the reason why Yellow can't be used was because of Parallax and how it's controlling the Lantern battery. And later on, we do get this moment where Sinestro basically talks into Hal and kind of like says at one point, like, he basically figures out what's going on with Hal, where he goes, look, Hal, you clearly have something going on with you. You're upset about something. You need to confront this fear. And what is the fear that Hal's been having throughout this book? The confrontation with Carl Ferris. He goes to him. He finds out that instead of hearing all this other stuff from Carol, where it's been mentioned that, like, oh, he's been off on vacation and going on golfing and all this stuff, and Hal always were saying that because, like, oh, like, this guy gets to live his life while my father's, like, dead. We find out that, no, Carl is actually dying, and the reason why he's dying is because he's lived with the stress and guilt for all these years of losing Martin. Hal eventually does apologize to Carol, and that kind of starts to build up their friendship and later to be relationship. And I also get, like, this nice moment too where we see Hal make a protection of his father, or a construct, I should say. I love this. What Sinestro says: "You just witnessed the true power of the ring. It has helped you find the will to live. It's the most basic element within one's willpower." And I love how he goes, "You were right." And Sinestro's just like, I know. But Hal and Sinestro now decide, like, that they're going to take the information that they found from Atrocitus, and they're going to confront the Guardians. Well, actually, what happens is that at one point they get in trouble with the Guardians because, of course, Hal and Sinestro are assigned different sectors. Hal is, of course, Sector 2814, which is the sector where Earth is. Sinestro is on 14117, the most patrolled sector, by the way, in case you don't know, because that's Sinestro. Don't hate the player, hate the game. So, at one point, because there are two cops that had basically been in one sector too long, basically because Sinestro hasn't been in his sector for long enough, they have now broken the rules, and they're forced to meet with the Guardians for immediate discipline. So we actually get Hal's first meeting with the Guardians here. And they talk about how they have kidnapped, or they taken Atrocitus. Despite that, though, they're still in trouble. But, of course, Hal is, like, giving them shit, like, constantly saying, like, why? Like, do not question the Guardians. Why? And even at one point, Hal does what is probably the worst thing you could do, which is at one point, he goes, like the Manhunters, the androids that did their job before they went glitchy and slaughtered every living being in Sector 66 but the 5 inversions. And Sinestro's trying to stop him, and he's like, it wasn't Atrocitus that told us about the massacre, it was Abin Sur, a message. They are lies from Atrocitus. More fables to instill fear among them. Instill fear in us? You know what I think? I think you're afraid. And of course they flip out, they're like, how dare you accuse us of being afraid? And from this moment here too, like, Sinestro actually does stick up for Hal and says that he is right. And specifically, we also find out Gambit being the one that like has its own name and becoming an individual. And from this, they've actually earned the respect of the Guardians, and Sinestro has earned the respect of Hal as well. And from this, because even though they are from different sectors, Sinestro wants to take Hal in and wants to be his mentor. Sinestro goes, "We can be stronger together. The Corps should work in unison when necessary. It should be up to us to not only help our fellow officers grow, but to keep them in check, to ensure that the tragedy that happened in Sector 666 never happens again." So basically what they're proposing now is there should be more than one Lantern a section. And to partner up, which is now what Hal and Sinestro are going to do. And I love this, that Hal is still trying to prove that he can actually use the ring against Yellow, and everyone's like, "Yeah, sure, Hal." And we get to see William Hand find the device that he uses to become Blackhand. He takes across his device, which I thought was a cool way to like link it up, because that was always Blackhand's weapon back in the day. So it was cool to see the origin of that. And we do at one point get to see Sinestro talk to Atrocitus and the other inversions, and more about wanting to hear about the Blackest Nights. And the story does end where Hal meets with his brother, and we actually find out that the entire time the story has been written and narrated by Hal. And Hal decides, instead of telling Jim exactly what's been going on with him lately, he decided to write it in his flight journal and gives it to his brother. And that ends the story of Green Lantern Secret Origin. Yeah, so Secret Origin is a really great story. Great origin story. Nice to get more of a modern version of it. Though I love Emerald Dawn as well, the original post-crisis origin as well. But I really do like the story as well, specifically exploring Hal and Sinestro's relationship and like his beginning relationship with Carol and the other people in his life. And also one thing I like about it too is I like also that I like that it sets up a lot for the future of the run. Like, it sets up board with Blackest Night. So, in a way, it's cool because you think to yourself, like, oh, like, we're doing an origin. Oh, that's kind of a pace breaker. But it's really not, though. It is kind of important to the run, and it flows, like, really well. So, I really do like that. But, yeah, of course, as we talked about in the review itself, there was a lot about Blackest Night, and that's covered right here, and that's what's coming up next. When we go into the next episode of this Geoff Johns Green Lantern series, it's going to be a doozy. We're going to be talking about Blackest Night. Of course, like, subscribe, guys. Talk to you guys later. And don't forget to watch Lanterns as well. Brightest day, Blackest Night.
If you're looking for great deals on collected edition comics or manga, we recommend shopping at panelboundcomics.com. They offer free shipping on orders over $30, plus bundled discounts to help you save even more. And if you're shopping from Europe or the UK, comicsbugle.com offers free EU shipping and a rewards program for regular buyers. Don't forget to use our discount codes at checkout.